You see this here?
Amish ponies.
I got paid to wear that.
What? Everybody gets. Did Don get paid to wear his too?
And he also said every time I bring up and say his name, I get $1. So I hope I don't wear you guys out about the Amish, but I got a light bill to pay.
Well, they don't.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I just found out like last week they ride around on bicycles all the time. I thought that was like a new thing, but that's like their new way to go, horse and buggy, bicycles.
So no more horse and buggy or what?
I have no idea. I was just driving out through the country the one day and it was like dark out and like there was literally like a line. It looked like a bicycle race. And I'm driving like, who are these idiots driving bicycles on a back country road in the middle of the night? Well, it
In
was the
winter.
Amish. They got their little hats on, their long beards.
Really?
I could not believe it, my man. It was
Awesome.
crazy. Let's see here. Well, let's jump on into this. So, how'd you get into Derby?
How did I get into Derby? So I don't know. Not everybody knows, but majority of people know that my uncle's Brian Merritt.
I did not
You
know
know,
that.
you didn't know that. So that was my start. Since we were young, we were doing the local fair. I'd go out with a spray can and be helping, and whether it was loading. So started young, and then I started getting my hands dirty. And 2004 was the first time I derbied. Um, Local county fair. It was Marinette, Wisconsin. Is like kind of our local. I gotta grab a tissue here.
Oh, you're all good.
Um, Marinette County, Marinette, Wisconsin is like our local. I'm right by Wisconsin here. I'm getting over a cold, um,
Oh, you're all good.
so we had people coming from all over to run this place, run this derby. In '04, I borrowed everything at Brian's and went there and won it.
What card you have?
Buick 225.
Why'd you run a Buick? Any reason in particular?
It was there and it was free.
Oh, the best kind.
Yeah, it was there and it was free. So like, people came from all over to run this show. You know what I mean? Um, so Legis is pretty close to us. It came down to Ralph Legis's dad and I.
Hmm.
He was in a wagon. We went back to back. He dropped a drive shaft, and I won. I couldn't believe it.
What was the build like? Was it a heavier build or stocker, or what was it like?
No, there was engine cups, no lower cradle. It was pretty
Oh,
simple.
fun, fun. So when did you start getting into like the heavy hard cars?
Um, we kind of went like I think my first heavy hard car was Fall Brawl 2011, and I got loaded.
Why did you get loaded?
I welded. Well, I think the main reason was I welded 2 package trays on. All the rules kind of wrote. Um, the rules kind of wrote that you could, like, have a watts. Have a. I think so. I was like, have a watts conversion, or talked about welding in your standard 4-link. Have a watts conversion. So I just welded like a standard 4-link saddle in the frame and left the 9802 style in there. I doubled them up.
Huh.
Almost got away with it. Almost got
How
away
many
with it. It
times
was
you
like,
been loaded?
I don't know, not that many, handful.
I get
I'm
you.
always willing to cut and run, but there's times where there's stuff you can't change. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Or the promoter's just like, yeah, no, trying to make an example out of you.
Yeah. Everybody thinks like Gage talked. Gage talked the other night. He's like 2019. Him and I chose to load. Ryan and Cordell got loaded, and then I felt like our list was not that I was afraid to run 2. Gage and I in the wagons, but they almost made our list. Like there's just a little too much. It's just a little too weird, a little too much. It just wasn't our year. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. So, two things. Why do you call him? First of all, why do you call him gay? And second of all, that was the year you guys took the wagons, right?
2019. Yeah. I ran a wagon there. 18. We won with Ryan, Don, and Dave Meyer and I. So I had a wagon that year, and we were going back, wanting to go back to win, trying to go back to back, and we knew, we were going to be outnumbered and have a target on us. So we were swinging for the fence. You know what I mean? We were doing some new stuff, and I felt like we were kind of ahead on the game on some of the stuff we were trying. It would have been a game changer. It would have been a Blizzard Bash to remember. Not trying to be cocky or say other people aren't doing their thing too, but part of being at that level, you got to have confidence to go. So to build like that, to take on the financial, I don't know if it'd be the right way to say burden, to take on that load, your family's involved. Whether it's missed time with them or they're here helping or, dropping food off at the shop or whatever they're doing, your family's involved, friends. I mean, I've helped people, gave them parts. Sometimes not always knowing. People came and got parts and I didn't know they weren't going to pay it full. They kind of gave me a little surprise, say, we got a $2,000 order here and I only got $1,000. And I'm like, well, you got to get there. What do we do at this point? So that show kind of brings out the best and worst of people,
Yeah, I get you.
And it sucks that out of 60, and I'm talking national, and I know you're your history, you're more of a little car guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I felt like that. I've pretty much been coast to coast, north to south, way up here in the UP. I've ran in Florida. Haven't been crazy far east, but I've been there to watch. We were out in Vegas and watched, so I've covered some territory, and I feel that when Blizzard Bash was at its peak, you could never match that competition level,
Do you think Gold Rush challenges that, or do you think it's just can never be touched?
Well, I get along with Sam and Tim, and it'd be like me selling parts, and I have a competitor selling the same part. Like, I don't think Gold Rush being a week before Blizzard Bash did the Derby World any favors. To have two shows like that week to week. But I'm not saying Sam did it on purpose. That could have been right timing. I'm not trying to point fingers or anything, but they're similar. Sam kind of reinvented that bracket and got rid of that politicking, and we've been accused over the years of being on the positive side of politicking, and I'm not saying we haven't. I don't feel like we ever really did anyone dirty, but there's been times like 2022, I won Blizzard Bash. There wasn't too many people that came shook my hand. You know what I mean? They were like maybe half the track, and I don't know. I didn't feel like I did anyone dirty. I didn't have much, Ryan was out right away. Colton was out. Kind of got lucky,
Oh, I get you. How much do you think the politics have changed throughout the years when it comes to derbying and like in the big features like a Blizzard Bash or big shows like that?
I don't think. I think it might change hands once in a while. You know what I mean? It might change. Like, you see people that were a little tight last year, and maybe they're not as tight this year. But man, I think politicking goes back before my time. And I don't think there's politicking has probably got people to a better place than they could have. Say if like somebody politicked and they got second, when they could have got third or fourth. So there's times when politicking helps, but there's only 1 out of 16 on that bracket, and I hate to refer to Derbian as that bracket or Blizzard Bash and that, but there's only 4 guys. There's only 1 team going home happy.
100%. Like, the one thing I hate about like running the bigger shows is that the politics is just way worse. You go to like a littler show. Granted, you probably have more problems with complainers and all that, but the politics isn't there. Like when we were in the bash this year, the politics, it was terrible. It almost wasn't even fun in the team class because, like, well, you just got to, it's the pecking order, it's so slow. Nothing can happen until this happens. And I was like, why am I doing this? What is the point of this? This isn't derbing. Nobody really knows who the best on this track is. It's just basically pecking order, which is all right when you're on the good side of it. But when you're not, it's like, what are we doing here? It's just stupid.
Yeah, pretty much, and that's what I think, Sam changing that. RPM Redemption, they won this year. And I'm not saying, I mean, they won it. They earned it. And I mean, good to see someone new winning, and Kansas has been dominant at Blizzard Bash, and good for them too. Everybody's going through a lot to get there. But I thought, how cool was it to see some new faces, and I don't really know them guys too well. I obviously recognize like their names and that, but a couple of them could probably pop in my shop right now. I didn't even know who was here, but good for them, to not see, to maybe you're in the stands this year, and maybe the last you're watching YouTube, you're watching Derby Nation, and you're like, man, I don't have a chance going to Topeka, because Chad Markley's the man, right?
Chad Markley is the man.
So that gold rush gives people hope to say, let's do it.
Which I think when it comes to running a big show like either Gold Rush or Blizzard Bash, I think the way Don Santel said it would be best. When you go to a show like that, if you're going to spend the time and you're going to make the sacrifices to go out there, you're going to win. You're not thinking like, well, maybe we're going to get there and get our ass kicked by Markley. Shake his hand, tell him how great he. No, you're going there, see if you can win. You can win them all according to Don Santel.
I think people go to be the show too. Like people go to be Mad Dog.
Well, yeah, they do.
But Blizzard Bash don't pay a Mad Dog, so and some people might use that excuse and be like, I just came here to party, because they don't have enough confidence that they're going to win. You know what I mean? I would imagine very, very high percentage of people are going there thinking, I got shot.
Oh, for sure. You wouldn't go to be like, well, I think we're just gonna like lose. That sounds like fun. We're invested how much money and how much time and how much sacrifice to just go out there and lose. No, who thinks like that?
Yeah, it's not like, well, we're just heading on family vacation. It's like, no, we're gonna head on family vacation, and I'm winning this son of a gun.
Exactly. It's like we're going to the beach and we're winning the Derby.
We went to Florida. That's what it was. We did Disney, Sarasota Beach, and then Gage and I went in that picture you got there. Gage and I went and ran whatever 2-man show was down there.
Iron Cities that year.
Yeah, that was awesome. I don't get to take too much time off. And somebody made, I don't know if it was you or somebody made a post today. And I briefly seen it in between doing whatever I was doing today. And I was like, I could have used that this year to get out of town, That'd have been
Like,
fun.
I was just sitting there thinking about it the one day, and I was like, that, because I think it was, I built, the year they had it in Daytona, I built an Avalon like last minute because I didn't have a spot, but one day I was just like, let's see if we can get a spot. I got on the wait list, and the way they did their wait list was they like drew it out of a hat instead of like just down the order, like from 9 to 10. So they drew it out of a hat, and I get a message from I think it was Cody Koch, and he's like, "Hey, you got a spot for Florida? You want to go?" And that was like 2 weeks before. So I was like, "Well," talked it over with the parents, and was like, "Yeah, let's go." So we built the car, and then we went down there. That was one of the funnest times I've ever had at a derby. You're at the beach, you're derbying, it's New Year's. It was all around just a great event. You know what I mean? Which
For
that
sure.
was. You ran it for Iron. Did you go down there when Coach had it, or Coach? I don't know how you say it.
We just went down there that one year. That was that leftover Blizzard Bash wagon. I think I went to Turkey Derby, and car was ready to go. When we unloaded it, I went and whipped donuts in the parking lot. There much of a tech there. I think they just gave me a stick because I was probably underbuilt. And pulling the track, I go to hit the throttle, and I was like, couldn't really spin the wheels, But I'm thinking, well, it looked like some real sticky clay. And I was able to run a while, and I'm like, something's not right. And my motor ended up locking up.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know how long it was getting tight. Took the bearings out of it, and then, I'm like, this never happens. This has been good to me, and I'm holding down the start button, and then here's a guy coming out with a fire extinguisher. I'm like, he can't be running at me, right? He's going right by my passenger front tire. The wiring started on fire because the motor's locked, and he got the power going.
Oh.
And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. We got home, and bearings were out of it. She locked up.
So which motor was that? What kind of motor was it?
That was my juice motor, 415 cubic inch.
So you're obviously like a billionaire. How many derby motors do you got?
I'm not. I'm really not. I've done okay, but there's times I was working 3-4 jobs, and then as my concrete business got busy, derby parts got busy. 2015 still had a union machine shop job, doing concrete, scrapping, and derby parts started to get hot. I think we did 300 and some cradles that first year, full cradles. I don't know what the exact was, 330 something. We're nearing one a day,
So what made you get into the derby parts business?
Broke my block with a big rock. That was the cradle deal. Dark block, working multiple jobs to afford this hobby. Broke my $2,500 dart block or whatever it was, plus all the machine work. And Ryan and I got together. And I think Ryan, 2014 Spring X, Ryan kind of dabbled with the first one. The Halo was round. Maybe like 4 of them were made, half a dozen, whatever the deal was. And him and I got together, made that cradle, and slightly minor, couple minor changes, and we sold over 3,000 of them.
So how many years did it take to sell 3,000 cradles?
I don't know. When COVID hit, so give you a little history on me. When I started building derby cars, I was pretty much in a driveway. Because the little garage that was there, you couldn't open the doors in the car, Live next to my sister and Eric Blum. So my sister's with Eric Blum.
Huh.
Yeah. Started derbying with him. We then it kind of progressed, So getting into the whole parts thing, 2014 and into 15 was also that time where I did the cable shifter, did the cable gas pedal. Other people were making gas pedals, and I bent my carburetor. Cost me Mayhem out of beat Don. I always give him shit and tell him that. I took third place Mayhem 2012. Dan Rodell took second. A lot of people don't know his name because he's been out of the game on circle tracking for a while, but Dan Rodell took second. Don took first. And got done. I think I clonked out, was getting warm. And so the rod running through the carb and the linkage from the gas pedal to the carburetor, I bent that. The first cable gas pedal I bought didn't have a wide open stop. So that's when I made one. I incorporated a adjustable wide open stop, and then also came back and I had it stop at the other end, which would be like an idle, and then I made that adjustable with the bolt. So if you were having issues, you could adjust your idle. I think one of the Bronze won like 10 grand. Motor was running like crap, and they credit it. I believe they credit being able to adjust that idle in the car to the wind.
That's awesome.
So that whole parts thing kind of started there. Worked for my Uncle Brian from like 15 on, so I obviously wouldn't have been in it and been able to somewhat engineer the stuff. So I worked with like local shops, found some places that burned the metal. I started welding. Next thing you know, you're doing a full cradle a day. You need to call in some backup, so had hit some speed bumps around the COVID time. We got small town here, big industry for how many people are I'm in Menominee, Michigan. We're the southernmost part of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, so we're right above Wisconsin. My Uncle Brian's in Marinette, Wisconsin. 15, 20 minutes, depending on how you hit the red lights through town. These two towns have a bunch of industry. Navy ships are built. There's a bunch of stuff going on. Foundries, factories, lumber mills, all this stuff, big industry. So there was places that supported me having an idea of a gas pedal. So, me still having my full-time job, then I kind of put my eggs in a basket, and I've had some speed bumps the last couple of years on the parts thing. But now I bought, might be a couple years, maybe it'll be somewhere around that time frame. I bought an old factory of 20,000 square feet. And that's, you can see in the background, this is part of it. So we came in here, I tore the floor out, poured a whole new concrete floor, insulate, tin, wiring, heat. So there's a machine shop area going in. There's this shop area way at the end. Pallet racking, shipping area, bins. What my goal would be now to not get jerked around and have people play the game of COVID. Steel went crazy. So might be dragging this on for you, but I wanted to say it. That full cradle. So I'm making them. COVID happens. And then all of a sudden I get my quote for material and I go, I can't sell a $4,000 cradle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't go post this. Anybody can ask me any question. I have nothing to hide. So I'm not going to go post and say, I got other things going on to make money. You know what I mean? With my concrete business, and I bought a salvage yard out and do different things so I can go make money. What I didn't want was to try to sell, and you're not going to sell many $4,000 full cradles, Then have the used market. It's going to be like what trucks and cars did. All of a sudden, my used truck, is worth more than what I paid for it. So you'd have 3,000 people that have full cradles trying to sell their full cradle for more than what they paid. I kind of kept that under my, I didn't really go post everything and display everything. I'm like, hopefully it'll turn around. Hopefully the steel prices will come back down and all the other shops will have a reality check, But so what I want to transition to cut my own metal and do all that and not rely on anyone. And not that I 100% want to, but what I do want to control is turnaround time, So we can go, hey, let's go cut 100 combos, or let's go build how many full cradles. Not you got to email someone, wait for their reply, and then you go back and forth. You got to get everything quoted nowadays, because quotes only are good for 24, 72 hours with the steel market going crazy. I want to be able to control all that. You know what I mean?
That makes perfect sense.
So that's like a little update on what's going on with me and about the cradles and that. So, but now I'm back. We had about 40 big cradles ordered. I made a post.
So, do you think that like the jump in prices when you stop making cradles and the aftermarket parts of it just went through the roof? Do you think that's why the full cradles kind of started to go away in the recent years?
Well, there's probably only so many rules change. Um, Rules change, and Pete and I talk about this. You're going to get this. You're going to get like the stock market. Then they go bone stock. Then they're like, well, I don't want to go spend 8,000 on a wagon. Let's give these guys a little bit. They're breaking blocks. Bone stock's cool. You can build the thing in a weekend, and then all of a sudden you're breaking blocks, breaking trannies. And then you give them a little tranny brace, and you give them a lower cradle, and then it's like, well, if they're running a lower cradle and a tranny brace, I just let them connect it.
Yep.
We'll run a full cradle, just have them run a rubber bushing mount. So, and on the promoting end of it, I think they're just trying to please the majority, get numbers, get fans. I don't fault them guys, but they got to quit changing them rules.
Like prime example of this is so my bash car last year for team show, the rules there this year, two completely different builds. One is basic. You just said it. It was lower cradle, trans brace, can't connect anything. Now you're allowed a piece of 2x2 to connect it. And the bumper plates got lengthened. That's all. You're allowed to plate up the spindles, but you're not allowed aftermarket spindles. So I'm guessing next year we're going to get full cradles and aftermarket spindles because that's basically the only way places can go.
What are Ford spindles going for now?
At least $100, probably.
Oh, at least $150, $200 a set. So I mean, if you're going to go run a show like that and you go through 2 sets in a year, you could buy a set of aftermarket spindles, or 2 years. Be fair and say 2 years. So, but I don't know. It's out of our hands. You know what I mean? You just gotta ride the wave, and I wish I had the time to run more. I'm trying to get there, trying to get a little more organized, and we do it all the construction and all the stuff at these properties I bought ourselves. Everything was done in house, down to the electrical and everything. So took a lot of time.
So is that why you kind of like went away from derbying for the past few years?
I still ran every year, whether it was locally around here, but I kind of got away. I kind of hop on TikTok every now and then, watch some hot chicks, but it's some derby stuff. But The Tracy's probably gonna watch, so I had to say that, or else she'll be like, "Yeah, right." Just the Facebook stuff kind of wore me out, you know. And then I found myself, and I was like, you have to be on your phone, what I would like to do is just, whenever we get a full inventory of parts, it's going to be, this is what it is. The website has the inventory. It'll ship within 24 hours. Because no matter what, if it's concrete or stuff here, I have to be around for stuff to happen, I'd like, get into hiring a couple more people but everything funneled through me. I got to get a secretary. You know what I mean?
Hire
So
Gage.
everything, yeah, can afford him. He came up, he spent time, he worked with me. We had a good time together. We were doing some concrete jobs and bouncing between different things. And he kind of, I don't know, he got to roughly about a week or whatever, maybe they were here 5 days and traveled the other 2. They came up. He came up and he got to kind of see how everything went here. And he worked. He was wheeling concrete and hammer drilling and pounding rebar, and he was right there.
So how did you meet Gage? Like, how did you guys meet?
I think the first time I personally seen him was probably around that Capital Carnage time. So, I like a mod car. I like to, I don't know, I just kind of favor the mod car, but around here we don't run mod. I'll run anything, I never been in a mini car, but I probably wouldn't fit anyway. So we were at Mod Capital Carnage 2016, $30,000 to win, and like 30 some cars show up. That was Blizzard Bash was getting big, and Sam then did that spring show. I mean, 30 grand. Never heard of it. You never heard of paying that in 2016. And I'm thinking it'd been every mod driver from coast to coast, and I believe it was like 38 cars. I could be wrong, but if 50 signed up, 38 showed up. So that's the first time I seen him, 16. And then I believe we ran Spring X 2017. Ryan, Cordell, Gage, and I.
Speaking of Ryan, how did you meet Ryan?
2013, I went to Blizzard Bash with Eric Blum. I pitted for Eric Blum. So Ryan, Eric, I'm thinking Brent and Barry Clemens. That was the Blizzard Bash team. So that was my first time. Take it back. 2012 Mayhem. I first met him, but then, just seen him, met him, handshake. That was 2012. 2013, got to spend some more time, in the pits. You're rubbing elbows, doing stuff, working on cars, and then him and I started bouncing ideas back and forth, and then it kind of him and I have had our ups and downs, too, but for whatever reason, him and I get together. We're kind of somewhat two different people, but I feel pretty good when I'm on the track with him, as far as confidence and
just one of them people, yeah. He's got your back no matter what happens.
We went to Spring X 2014 then, so then Gage was Spring X 17, went Spring X 2014. Me, Pete Hansen. Were you even born then?
What year was it?
2014.
I would have been. I was there that year. That was the first time I ever saw Pete Hansen.
Probably in a stroller.
Well, no,
close.
I actually I got suspended for something that week because I was gonna run Power Wheels out there but I got suspended and mom said no, but I still got to go to Blizzard Bash. So it was really kind of not that much of a punishment looking back at it.
So 2014, we ran Spring X. That's around April in the year. Pete, Ryan, Eric Blum, and I, we won. And then, I broke a block. And I was like, well, we got to make some changes. So he's in Detroit, Michigan. Or not Monroe, right by Detroit. We're about eight and a half hours apart. We both live in Michigan, so you got to go either up over the Mackinac Bridge or down through Chicago. Somewhat of a horse apiece, depending if you want to, what time you leave, if you hit rush hour traffic or you go fall asleep and go north in the woods and don't see a car for 2 hours, So that's how I met Ryan, and as years went, we went and ran and did well, won. We won 14 Spring X. Went to Blizzard Bash in 14. Rick Clark, Pete Hansen, Ryan, and I think Rick Clark whipped a donut in Retech. I don't know if he's jagged up on the Canadian beer. What was going on? I think he got loaded for it or got into a argument. I have my cut sheet. We're ready to drive back up. My cut sheet doesn't say change pitman arm. And one of the techs come and say, you got to get rid of that pitman arm. I had a billet pitman arm on there. And we didn't even have one. We didn't have so somebody ran to one of the O'Reilly's, AutoZone, whatever the heck was closest. We pulled it off. If I had a GM, NASCAR box from Joker on a Crown Vic, whatever, stuff wasn't lining up. It wasn't clocked right. We put it on. I couldn't steer only one way. Go back. We're die grinding out, the 4 bigger male teeth or whatever to get it all working. I get up there, we're like 2 minutes late. And, yeah, that took the wind out of my sails there, boy. So I put a lot of time and effort in that 2014 Blizzard Bash car. And had a lot of help. It wasn't just me, so I think I went and ran Pro Mod or something, but that's when then Pete and Ryan went out by themselves and wrote the history books there,
That they did. So how many times have you ran Blizzard Bash?
Well, ran or built?
Both.
So it'll be 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. COVID was 20. Didn't run 21, ran 22. So I don't know, 7 times maybe.
Well, how many times did you get to run?
5.
Well, the odds aren't that bad.
Nah, that ain't bad.
So what makes you, so you've ran the show that many times. What makes you like running on that huge national level?
It was, you go to the first heats of 4-on-4, there's no politicking, and there's nothing like that. Now there's Gold Rush, but there's nothing like the 4-on-4 first day. Cars are fresh, painted. They got underglows. They got graffiti. They got vinyl. The music's going. There's nothing like that first day. And everybody's pumped. You see stuff blowing apart, hard hits. I don't feel there's nothing like it. Whether you're watching, running, pulling into the tunnel, there's nothing like it. And the competition at Blizzard Bash, you had Monroe and Fouché and Toast and Iron City guys coming out, and Kansas, Clemens and Blum and Markley. Not Blum wasn't on Kansas, but Blum was out there running. Don Santel, he's ran with us. He's been on other teams. You got all the Iowa guys. And Mike Schmidt and Tori Hyde and them come down from the Dakotas, the Bernsteins. All good, cool. The people, just the people to go, all good, fun people. It's a good time. You know what I mean? Never really partied when I ran, took running too serious, so but it's a party for a lot of people. It's a party there.
I want to circle back to one thing you said when there's not talking about like the atmosphere and how there's nothing like it. I actually had a conversation with a buddy of mine, Mark Saylor, not too long ago, and I was like talking him into Blizzard Bash, and he's like, "What makes Blizzard Bash so good?" And I was like, I I can't explain it, but it's the only thing Blizzard Bash is like. It's like a demolition derby sitting courtside at an NBA game. That's the only thing it's like.
NBA championship, not just an NBA game where you're playing the Pistons that lost 27 games in a row or something. You know what I mean? It's like the NBA finals being courtside.
Dude, just the atmosphere of it, like it's insane. Like I can't even compare it to anything because it's not like anything. Like I said it all weekend long. I went with John Rutherford and Jaron Rutherford. I said I'm going to watch this and then we're going to go back home, and all these shows that I thought were big, like the Bash and all these huge shows, I'll be like, it's nothing compared to out there.
Well, in its day, Bash for me, when the Bronze ran and they battled with Iron City, and they ran and battled with the Heinens, and that was good derby. That was a good derby to watch. And the kicker class that year Pete ran, I mean, that was some competitive good derby there too. And even years prior when Shane Jones, Roger Hickman, Zach Campbell, your boy, Tony Jenkins, Kobe Hiley, Trey Nichols. I mean, those guys, that's who that's when I kind of flipped the switch and was like, we're not just going to go compete at our local county fair,
So did you ever run the Bash?
The year we ran Freedom Hall and they did that unified thing, I was going to go run there. And I let a kid run my car. I let, not to say kid, but he pretty much was a kid to me. The heck was his name? John and blank here. Tim Toddy's son. Whatever one of his, Tim won that. We did that complete raffle car, and he's like, "You got anything for my son? I'd really like to be out there with my son." I said, "Tell you what, Tim, I was going to run with my Freedom Hall car. He can run it." So, never ran there, but that was a big vending for us. I mean, I don't know how long that was, 12-something hours for us. Memorial Day weekend through Green Bay, through Milwaukee, through Chicago, through Indianapolis, 50-foot trailer, way overweight, So that was always big vending for us there.
Which the Bash is big, don't get me wrong, but like, cause that's like 3 hours from us. And it's like going out to Blizzard Bash, it's just like, it's two completely different shows. You know what I mean?
It is, and it's hard to be like, I'm not going to bash the Bash, and I'm not going to say it ain't worth a shit, but it's different, if it's a summer show, where you can be out partying in a campground, whether you drink or not, you can just hang out and roast marshmallows. I don't care, but you can be up with your friends and doing stuff. It's a different vibe.
Which, I've never been able to do that, and quite frank, because every time I've ran at the Bash, I was either too young to not even interested in it, or this past year when you had a lot of work to do to get ready for the features,
Oh, for sure.
Which are you not one to like party or drink it when you're running a show and you got a bunch of stuff to do, or are you one to like just sit back and relax a little bit during the night when there's not much to do?
I'll party with the best of them. You know what I mean? And at just booze, nothing extra, nothing crazy hard stuff. But I like my Captain Morgan, and I'll go do that, and I drink a beer here and there or whatever. But when I'm vending, I'll have a couple drinks and whatever. But it's all business, I've been changing trannies, helping people rebuild hydro steering, bringing them ball joints, tie rods. Every time at the Bash, I was out till I don't know what time in the morning bringing parts. I stock a full bolt bin. I think until the last year when I finally got wore out. wore out in like a whole nother term and conversation. I stocked a full boat bin in my trailer, all grade 8 stuff, and people come to me and need stuff, and I give it to them. You know, how do I charge a guy that just bought a full cradle and a set of spindles and a shifter and a combo and a steering column, spent freaking $8,000 or whatever? How do I tell him I need $250 for a handful of bolts? You know what I mean? So we were support there, you know, so it wasn't just go there to line our pockets. It was go there. I mean, you would not believe the amount of money I got a black book. Help people, you know, people are, hey, broke this tie rod, ball joint this, I don't have the money. I'm like, here, catch me next month, catch me in 2 months when, you know, you get out of this hole, you know, because you never know if people are begging, borrowing, stealing to get there, you know. So been taken advantage of, you know. Sometimes you never see those people again, and it's hard to try to write that down and remember all that, you know. That black book was 6-figure money for a while. Wrap your head around that.
Well, I guess that's the only thing that happens is when you be too kind to people, you know. It always.
Yeah, I've been taken advantage of, but now I just, you know, then you see those people at derbies and they take the long way around you.
Well, I mean, I guess the only real way to look at it is they do it once, they're too ashamed of themselves to do it again, you know.
Yeah, that's what Pete told me. They won't be back. You got to worry about them coming back, you know. That's what he told me on the phone. And you know, I'm not blaming anybody but myself. But you don't go to the gas station to get fuel and say, "Hey, catch you next month." You know what I mean? But it's my part of giving back. You know, I'd do it again. If somebody's there with a broken part and they got to get her back together, I'd give them the shirt off my back. You know.
I completely get. So, do you think that I don't want to put this, that negative how exactly do I want to put this? Do you think the bad side of derbying and the bad side of the people shows more than the good side of the derby community?
I think any hobby, you know, whether you're circle tracking, truck pulling, you know, no matter what it is, I think you can bring out the best and worst in people. And so I think that follows suit with derby. You don't know it, you know, you get some people get on Facebook to vent, you know, and well, hey, this happened, that happened. And I mean, you don't really know what's going on. You don't know the struggles people go through health-wise, financially, mentally. You know what I mean? Everybody's got a story, you know.
Which that's the one thing. Go ahead.
I was just going to say everybody's got a story on what they do to get there and to keep it all under not to say undercover, but just to keep everything together and between the lines. I'd say that'd probably be the best way.
Which that's you mentioned this a little bit ago about Facebook. That is the one thing that I genuinely dislike about derbying as a whole is randomly once a week at least, there's going to be some Facebook post. Everybody feels the need to be heard. Nobody's going to read your comment, but they feel the need. So that then, prime example, last week, Frankie Guy made a post about ramp bumpers. 3 days, it was just nonstop talk. Well, I don't think this should be the way. Well, if you do this, then you can't angle your bumper. It's like, dude, you really think anybody cares what you say? You really think Frankie posted that thinking, I'm going to listen to what these people... No. They know what they're doing. All it is free advertising for everybody. I know that because I do it. I promote my shows using the same techniques. because everybody wants to be heard, which I get that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm the same way.
Right.
But it's just nobody realizes like they're kind of like getting taken advantage of in the same sense.
Well, and if you get on here and talk about ramp bumpers every week, your numbers are going to go down.
Which
I
think that's just how everything is, because like literally everybody has the attention span of a bird, because from TikTok and all this stuff. Like ramp bumpers was last week. Haven't seen anything this week, which probably
right.
Well, somebody did say they didn't like Christmas and derby cars, so that could have been a whole thing. Thankfully, it wasn't.
This week, Scotty's letter from the city and the car issue. That's this week.
Well, the problem is, if you ask Dad, it's because we got a sailboat. If you ask me, it's because we have cars stacked up. Who's right? I don't think it's because of the sailboat, but I could be wrong.
Right. And that's part of this whole, demolition derby doesn't get the respect, say so. So if I was circle tracking or truck pulling and I went around to the local businesses and said, this is what I'm doing, it's just demolition derbies like at the bottom of the barrel, and everyone's like, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? It's a conversation, probably on every, whatever. I don't know. I don't watch enough. I watched Gage's. I was driving home from Christmas shopping. And I watched Pete's for a little bit. I don't get to see all the different talk shows, whatever the hell you call them. I don't get to follow it enough, but sometimes that I do see, and this conversation comes up of, what's it going to take to get Derby to the next level? You know what I mean? And like, so your little letter is just like a speed bump and keeping you going, because you're not funded by Monster or Red Bull or whatever, you're doing your thing, and I'm doing mine, and everybody's doing their own thing. So I think we got to stop asking each other, and we should be asking Monster or who's sponsoring motorsports right now. I don't watch NASCAR or any of that other stuff. So, take the big top 24 2024 people. And, I think Dustin Woods tried with Jigs. I don't know where that's at, how he did. Give him an A for effort. You know what I mean? I give Dustin Woods an A for effort. He's kind of doing his own thing with the format. I gave him my personal opinion on that. I said, take it or leave it. But then I don't know if he got Jigs on board, if they're still on board, that whole thing. But thank him for trying.
Oh, for sure. Which I think, go ahead.
Who's going to go to Monster or, I don't know, Winston, Marlboro, whatever. I don't care, whoever, whatever. You know what I mean? Who's going to have Pete? What's Pete smoke? Marlboros? Man, they should be sponsoring him. Hey? Huh?
You're not wrong at all. I'm talking on the phone one day. He starts coughing like 7 times in about 30 minutes. Pete, that's not
he don't
healthy.
have a cold. That's from the
it's
Mark.
all right. It's all right. All right.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not bashing him. He knows that, but it's I think Blizzard Bash was down in numbers just from me, watching or viewing, and Sam or Tim Clark weren't sold out, so.
Which sorry. So I think the main problem is everybody should I say this? Well, it's the truth. Why not? So I had all the promoters on, and then I was just randomly, I went to the gym one day and I was thinking about it. And then I went back that day and I watched every one of the interviews I did with the promoters. They all said the exact same thing when it comes to unifying, when it comes to big sponsors, when it comes to literally everything. But yet nothing has happened. I mean, if everybody truly was on the same page, then wouldn't things have changed? I mean, So Sam mentioned when I did his interview that they brought it to the big networks, and they said, yeah, like we'd love to put this on mainstream and get help get big sponsors in here, but you guys aren't unified, so that's going to be the hardest part. However, at the same time, though, Sam shows like a week before Gold Rush, so it hurt literally everybody.
Yeah.
So I think if somehow by the grace of God we can leave the egos, the pride at the door, and step into a room and say, this is what we got to do to actually make this work. And people are going to like that because people's ideas and what they think, there probably won't be in the end result. But that's the only way it's going to work, because nobody wants to do the same thing. I'll say it. Nobody wants to run. Not all promoters want to run the format. It just doesn't work for them. They don't like it. But you're not going to be able to change their mind about it. We can have as many conversations as we want. Granted, they might get us towards a common goal, but at the end of the day, you're not going to change somebody's opinion about something they truly don't like. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, we have to be able to compromise. How do you compromise when nobody wants to change their opinion or change their view?
Well, I think ultimately, the root of all evil, money. So every one of them are investing money, whether it's, no matter if it's east to west or wherever. So they want to cater to their area to get car count. If Tim's putting on Bash and got to rent the grounds and porta potty and insurance and pays help and blah blah blah, he's going to do what he thinks will bring the numbers.
Exactly. And when it comes to bringing numbers,
that's the bad part. That I don't think it's not ego. It's money.
No.
It's not ego, and then have everybody say, yeah, just let's try this for 3 years. Let this settle in. The first year will be rough. Second year, you'll see numbers turn around. And the third year, everybody be on the same page. We'll be derbying in Ohio this weekend, South Dakota the next. Here, there, and there. But then you get into everybody having a story and a job and 2, 3, 4 weeks vacation. They're running that one big show a year. They're running Bash. They can't leave Bash and be over here, because then it's so-and-so's graduation party, it's birthday parties. So, until you start making this sport, pay those people to build, haul, drive, it'll never happen. It's all money driven. That's what I think. It's not an ego. If they did all get together, don't want to say names, and some people work for themselves and have the money and don't need to have their hands on their work every day, and they have workers and they can go, but that's few far between. I work for myself, but to really turn money, I need to have my hands on stuff. It's just the way I have it set up, and try to quality control my concrete pours, somewhat of my derby parts and all that, you know what I mean? So it's a tough battle, but I think until there's the big money coming in, everybody's going to point fingers and talk about egos or whatever,
Which that brings up the biggest roadblock of them all. If money is the problem, and in order to get the money, we have to come together, but we can't come together because of the money, and this is doomed to fail.
Pretty much. But maybe you go to, I don't know, like I said, whoever the big motorsports people are, and you get I think it could be big and it could get attention, but you had Derby tried to go reality TV. I got interviewed. I don't know who the heck it was. I don't even remember. I could probably look up an email. Did some Skype video. Didn't even have good enough internet at home. Had to go to town. And I'm at my mom's house, and he's interviewing me, whatever this guy and lady were on a Skype, asking me questions. I give them an answer. They're like, can you say that in a different tone? And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? But they were like trying to find a person that fit and get into that reality drama TV that has that in I don't know about now, but in that era when that took over, you know, all that weird stupid shit on TV that people would watch, you know, 600-pound this and all this stupid stuff. And there was a couple derby reality TV. I don't think it ever really went anywhere. They tried, you know, and good A for effort. I'm not dogging anybody for trying, but it didn't seem to ever go anywhere.
Which that I think that's one of the things that when it comes to like the entertainment side of everything, that you see two completely different sides of it. Like track shot compared to Derby Nations, two completely different things. Track shot, they're talking about Jason Sawers' crew, they're talking about a bunch of other stuff, and they're talking about the Derby as well. However, Derby Nation is just strictly about the Derby. You know, it's two completely different types of entertainment that apply to completely different types of people. Like another prime example is these. Like my interviews are longer because I want to have better conversations, talk about more topics, cover more stuff. Track shots are shorter because they're trying to get to a different type of audience. They're like family, the audience, they're not stuff like that. They don't want to go into the, like, prime example on track shot. You're not going to get the stuff like when I'm talking to you about Blizzard Bash and getting loaded and stuff like that. The stuff that like true Derby people are like, they're amazed to hear. They're like, I can't believe this is being said on the internet. I can't believe that.
Yeah, you might get people who are tune in to like me. Other people are throwing their phone at the wall because they hate me. Other people are saying, I never heard of this guy. You know what I mean?
Which I think
could be the same with Gay. You know, people love or hate him. You know, people love or hate me. And you might find a couple people that lived under the rock that are saying, oh, who's this dude? You know, let's watch this, that know you and don't know us. And that's a possibility too, you know?
I think it's all about what people want to watch. And it's because at the end of the day, it's entertainment. Like I don't make anything doing this. I do it quite frankly because I enjoy it. And I enjoy talking to new people. Like it's the first time I ever talked to you. The first time I ever talked to Gage, Gumby, Johnny Gullo, all those. The first time I ever talked to any of you guys.
It's Gay.
My bad, Gay. Why do we call him Gay? What is the reasoning behind that?
It's just short and easy. Like Gage just kind of feels like you got a loogie and you got to spit it out of your mouth. It's just Gay. It's quick. It's easy. He's kind of light on his feet anyway, so it fits, you know?
Makes 100% sense.
Right.
Speaking of Gay, he sent me in some questions to ask you.
Hey, I got some for you too. So I don't know what your time frame is, but let's get this over with. Get down to business here.
Oh God. So let's see. Where's the first one? Has anybody ever copied your products, and how did that make you feel?
Yeah, you know, this is where I'm at with the whole copy thing. I will never, I don't know if it'd be the right word to say, I'd never dog someone for putting food on the table. I wasn't the first to do a gas pedal. I wasn't the first to do a full cradle. But I did my own, you know. I did my own. I spent a lot of time, you know, at that time, like when the first years of building mod, when in 2011 when I watched Metal Mayhem, those years, I'd have pissed my pants before I got up to miss the feature and go take a, you know what I mean? That's how, like, I'd have pissed my pants before I went and got up and missed any of it. That's how involved I was, you know, and I'm not saying I'm not now, but as you get older and life takes over. So get into making parts, get into being copied. You can think of it I mean, man, if you're getting copied, the people that are copying you are behind. You know what I mean? If that's what they have to wake up and say, what's Brian Narrett or what's Ski doing? I mean, you have to have a reality check on your life and what you got going on. You know, try to do something different. If you're going to take Narrett's bell housing and copy it, try to make it better. Try to do something different. You know what I mean? If you're taking my whatever or his or anybody, not Gage's bumper. You know, try to put Gage out of business and say his bumper is a piece of crap and do something new and different, better material. You know, make it whatever. So that whole copying thing, man, that's getting out of hand.
Which, I mean, from the outsider looking in, just seeing the amount of parts that are all the same on Facebook. I mean, prime example, everybody's selling the same Darren Brown file for this insane amount of money, you know, which more
I
power
don't know
to them.
Darren Brown and the whole Darren Brown thing. If somebody, if I would tell people if they're at their limit and they're going to second mortgage the house to go run a derby, wait a year or two. If this guy can take that file, go to his local shop and be into a bumper, and his time ain't worth nothing, that's fine. But how many people do we need welding these bumpers together?
Exactly.
You know, the guy with a 110 or a small 220 you can carry in your hand, like this is going to get broken. Someone's going to get hurt. You know what I mean? But, you know, there's different strokes for different folks. So I don't try to put myself on a pedestal. Like I said, when I started derbying, I was in a driveway outside, you know. So we all been there. I could be there again. I'm human, you know. But the copying thing, it's weird.
Going back to what you said, I think like that's, even as a buyer, it's very interesting to see the innovation through it. Like prime example, the first thing off the top of my head was the steering columns. Forever we had the same steering columns. Everybody was making it. Then Sky High comes out with the I don't even know what you describe it as, the like spring-loaded steering column basically, and then that can everybody has it. It's about as popular as hydro steering is for a mod car. Everybody has it. It's a completely new thing, but it basically succeeded so well because it was the new thing. It was a better idea of an old concept.
And I've had people, you know, I've had people win derbies and do things with my steering column, and I'm going, man, how did that not break? Gage Sumner's, I believe it'd be brother-in-law. You know, he won Toast Show, and I've had people go say I was out there 5 minutes to make a hit. I've taken time and gone in the pits and looked at stuff, and I'm going to myself, I really wish I had time and I'm not saying, you know, I'm the greatest, but I'm going, this guy would put this thing in backwards if he could, you know. I can't believe he don't have the hex down by the box and the U-joint up by him. He's starting out with this thing at a bad angle and it's rubbing the head already. Or it's rubbing the arm or it's doing this and that, you know. So I don't know the Sky High. I've seen pictures. I have no interest in copying it. Let him do his thing. Let Derek Drake do his thing on power steering. You know, do we need 20 people selling power steering pumps? Let Derek Drake do his thing. You know, let him do his thing and be the power steering pump guy. Are we going to go take food off Derek Drake's table? No, he's a cool dude. You know what I mean? There's enough stuff to make and enough parts to go around for everybody to have a piece of it.
Which, even when it comes to the parts business, from the way I would look at it, I mean, if you're going to make parts, if you make the same parts as everybody else, you're competing with pricing and basically marketing. But at the same time, though, if you make something different, something unique, something that is going to draw in more attention, the product will sell itself. Prime example would be that, I don't know if you saw it, that Palm starter. It's like pretty much, it's like a gas pedal for a starter, pretty much. But they're selling a bunch of units of those because there's nothing. It's completely new, like whole new concept.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that's a good product, you know, and you get them fat hypes on things, you know. You get the fat like hydro steering, and then I don't know if that's still, but and I'm not saying that's not superior and that you should not, but you get them fat, you get the fad over the years, you know, whether it was starting with beadlocks or, you know, I think Guard was selling like one of the first cable gas pedals, you know. You didn't know nothing about it. You didn't have to see it. You didn't have to inspect the welds, and you said, I want one because, you know.
Which do you think? Why do you think the Derby world is so like that's the new thing? I gotta have it to swipe their credit card.
Well, that's life, you know. That's life. My daughter got the Stanley Cup, the Lululemon pants, the Nike Dunks. You know, she don't know nothing about it, but she got to have it. You got to have the platinum pickup, the Denali, the Amish hoodie. You know what I mean? That's life.
You do got to have the Amish pointy. Does your daughter have an Amish pointy sweatshirt?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Gage need to start making water bottles, huh?
Gay.
Gay. My bad.
I'll get you by the end of the show. I'll get you right.
Yeah.
All right. What else does that queer have?
He has. Is it true after your 2022 solo Blizzard Bash win that you tried to register for 2023 as a team by yourself?
No. No.
So what's the story behind that? Like why was it just you at the end of that?
So we went there with a team of 4: Rhett Glue, Ryan Songalewski, Colton Newhoffen, and I. And Rhett got loaded. So I had reverse goat in the first heat. 3 of us. We draw Bernstein's. Ryan's in a bad spot. I go to get him out. I can't back up. I don't know. It didn't last a minute. So here we go, changing the training, Make it through. We win 3 more heats. We take the long way to the feature. Ryan's car is good, as always. I had an amazing pit crew to help work on the front and back and sides, any top, bottom. We were doing what we could on. You're still going to win. You're down a car. You're short-handed on 3 on the team. So Rhett was there helping, dropped equipment off, said do whatever. Colton was having issues. I think his pinion angle was pointing at the number sign, and he couldn't keep a drive shaft in, and he had a bunch of shit going on. But it happens. I'm not perfect. We're in the feature. I told Colton, if I see you above 2,500 RPM, I'm going to reach to the window and punch you, because whatever he had going on wasn't really working. Let's just keep in here. If I'm stuck, you can get me out. Let's try to do this, I look over, his back bumper's on the ground, and whatever his motor could turn 3 RPMs, it was turning, and the tires were smoking. And I'm going, well, this ain't going to last long. And then all of a sudden I look over at Ryan, and he's dead in the water. I mean, we're 15 minutes in, if that, don't even know, somewhere around there. Well, here I am by myself. Let's just hang out. Kind of, Tim comes out all mad and whatever the hell he's doing, but you're just, we're there to win, so you're not going to be able to go wide open for an hour or 2 and win. I don't care who you are. It's never been done. That was, there's like 250-some minute videos on YouTube. So 110, 120 minutes that was. They might have had people pulling on the track. Don't quote me, but it was around there. All of a sudden I'm counting and I'm like, man, there's only 4 people left. I got a shot at this. And it was Collins, Chicken, and I down to the 3. I think Barry Clemens had steering issues, rolled himself over. He timed out, so it's down to 3. Collins and I kind of worked together. We had history with the JWC, the old JWC clan there. So we worked together. We took out Chicken. He's hard to beat, That Chicken and Markley are hard to beat, but we got him out. Collins and I went one-on-one. My motor, I tangled with Mike Schmidt 30-some minutes in, around the 40-minute mark. Him and one of the Bernsteins, I don't know if he was, or him and someone on his team. I don't know if Mike lost reverse. We never talked before we went out, whether we were with or against, whatever. He hits me, I back up, we do some hitting. The corner of his bumper comes over mine and pokes my radiator. I'm out of water. So that's 40 minutes in of a dang near 2-hour feature. I'm hot. it is getting hot. I ripped my sweatshirt in there. It was getting hot. Luckily, I had an oil cooler. I hear the motor start chirping. I'm holding it to the floor, trying to push Collins around. Him and I just went. And whatever that happened at the end there, it seemed like he was not wanting to back up, and Tim went down and slapped his shifter, and whatever the heck happened. It was like a soap opera, but he finally got a gap on me, had his tire turned, and I just made the right move, and he was losing his rear tires, and I shoved him against the car, and I'm like, I think I told myself, un-effing believable, you know? And then shut the ignition off, and the motor kept running. So she was warm, tight. Jeff just fixed it, about $7,000 some in damage.
Ooh.
But didn't quit. I got the trophy and $12,000, so knocked 7 off that 12.
That's awesome.
I brought 30 some tires that year, fresh tires to go run. Yeah.
So next question is: last year you've been kind of absent from the Derby world. Do you think the Derby world has passed you up?
Yeah, I'm washed up.
Kind of like Gay, huh?
We did a lot of work here. You know, I could show you my shop, and I didn't really. Gay likes to sit on his phone and go have a get paid by the hour job, and he can go sit on his phone all day. Well, I can't do that. I had to. Well, every once in a while, you got to get to work and put the phone down. So we're not privileged to get paid to sit on our phone like Gay.
When you make Amish pointies, I guess you can look at some Facebook.
I think he's got that niece guy welding his bumpers, so he don't even have to weld no more.
So we got 2 more from Gage, and then Ryan sent me some. What tax bracket are you in?
Yeah, low income.
Well, me too. Oh, so the last one from Gage is it true that the hardest your Mustang has ever been driven was by a woman?
Pretty much. Yeah, almost caused a divorce. She was wanting to stay up in Michigan, but I said, you'll wreck his life. You better go back to Missouri.
So what's the story behind that?
I got a Shelby Mustang. Gay's jealous. And Becca and I went for a ride. I let her drive it. And she did good. It was fun. I kept the power mode. You can choose what mode. I kept it down, though, and I kept traction control on just in case.
Well, that's pretty cool. So now we got a bunch from Ryan.
Oh boy!
So, is it a coincidence that your last name and his last name both end in ski, or you got what's that?
Meant to be,
I suppose. So, do you build your own cars? If not, who builds them for you?
If I don't, Ryan will build them. Locally around here, got a friend / worker, Cody Renicow. He'll and his dad Carl. They got a big hand in, and also like they'll do the cars around here. You know, either in my shop or by them, and we'll go do stuff around here. Ryan has been a big part of my build since, I don't know if it was like 2016, 17, whether he prepped a frame or did something, you know, so it's been Ryan helping me out in many different ways, you know, on the build. I've had people come from, you know, all over, from Ohio, from Iowa, Illinois, you know, if I'm going to run a show, from Wisconsin, from everywhere. You know, I have a lot of awesome friends, family, you know, I don't know if it'd be fair to say I have 3 different businesses, but to do all what I do, little family time, and then to go run a derby and have the help, man, it takes a freaking army, you know. And they always try to say, who would you like to thank, you know? Buddy has, who would you like to thank? And I'm like, man, if I forget one person here, I'll wreck their not their life, but I'll wreck their day and I'll hurt their feelings. So I just go, man, thank everyone. It takes an army. You know what I mean? Whether it was Ryan or Ryan's crew down there and his son, and whether we're meeting somewhere and meeting up with Gage and doing part swaps, and I do certain things and give them parts, and then they do certain things, and that's the cool thing about running the team shows. You get great minds on a team. I mean, you can be pretty deadly, and then you have to follow suit with driving and your build, your maintenance, your mechanics, your equipment, this sport's like on other, you're not just, not to cut any one of them down, but as you're on the track and you're losing a tie rod, motor's getting hot, you're making adjustments. You're not just turning left. You're not just going a quarter mile or, truck pulling. I'm not trying to say this sport's better, but it's a lot, to go make all them adjustments, and then you're with people, you're against people. Like, hey, I thought I was running with that guy. Now he's smoking me in the back end. That's a little early, bud. So you're in this mental game, and you look over, shit, Ryan's out. You've been there. Everyone's got things going on, and motors aren't running right. You're having to do different things, and you only got reverse. We're only going to reverse. You can't get yourself in a bad spot. What other motorsport has to have the driver making that kind of decision? There's nothing like it,
Nothing at all. So going from that one, we heard why Gage didn't run in 2019. Why didn't Jason run in 2019?
When Gage and I, the ultimate decision and how that all played out and how that went down, one of the cars, they found some stuff, I'll be honest with you. It's no secret. One of the cars, they found stuff. So that was load. We opted into cutting the back end off, whatever, to run, and that's their policy out there, and that's fine. So it got a little weird, It was talking like Ryan got an okay from Russ, and Russ passed, and this and that, and I mean, we weren't trying to play that game or card or nothing. Ryan built the same car there. Not to say it's a cookie cutter, but Ryan's 03 at Blizzard Bash has been pretty deadly. He hasn't really had to make many changes. So the guy's building the same car, and now we have an issue with it. That's when I was like, what they did to him and what's going on here. It felt like a bad dream. You know what I mean? To go through what you do to get there. And that's our conversation in itself. What you do to go to that type of show, what that all entails. I was like, you know what? It's kind of where I was at with my union machine shop job. I don't want to be here. They don't want me here. Let's just, I didn't feel like we're getting treated right. And they might, in their mind, they might have thought we overdid it or pushed the rules or, whatever, but it just wasn't working out. So we kind of agreed to disagree and said, let's throw them on the trailer. It's not, if we weren't getting respected, we're not going to go burn a $1,200 tire and get treated like this, That was kind of that was 2019 in a nutshell.
So the next question is, what's it like being the only person ever to single-handedly win a 4-man team show at Blizzard Bash by himself?
I don't know about the records or who holds it or how it is, but I mean, it was kind of surreal that I did it. And, I didn't battle with Mark Lee or Chicken, so we had no handshakes, no money exchanges, no free parts, no nothing. You know what I mean? There was no real, didn't really know what side of the fence everyone was on. Mike Schmidt and his whole crew, they were hard drivers. I didn't know if they were coming out of the gate and we were battling, When it's your time, everything falls in place, you know, and it's like, it just worked. I don't know. Got lucky, I guess.
I know exactly what you're saying. It was one
A
of
lot.
them nights where like you go in there, you're like, well, let's see what we can do. No expectations at all. And then like it's getting down to it, you're like, huh, this is going fairly well.
You're looking around, you're going, fuck, he's out, you know, and you're saying there, he's out. Like, it's a good feeling, but everybody says I'm lucky for what I have and what I do and everything that's happened to me. So I guess I got lucky again. You know what I mean? Just another time of getting lucky. But I mean, I try to create my own luck, do different things, do day-to-day things where you kind of create your own luck and do some good karma, and I got paid back. You know, I don't know. It was cool. It was awesome. You know, I don't know if it's ever been done or be done again, or if I could ever do it again. How that motor held together, you know, and I'm not saying that it went and ran an hour, you know, and then trying to you know, make false accusations on that. But either way, it didn't drop all the water, you know, but there was a hole in the radiator at that time. I don't care who, what, how. That's a long time for going for, you know, but it never died. Crazy.
It's yeah, it's this, those are the craziest things, you know. Like when I won the bash this year, I thought that car was hard as can be. I thought I had like a tank basically. But it was basically the bash. It was just my night because I ran that car like 3 more times. Never couldn't do anything with it. It used up everything. That was all that car had. But then everything just the luck kind of left it, I suppose.
You got time for yours now?
Sure.
You got more for me?
I got
I won't
there's
ramble on when you ask me a question. I'll keep it short and sweet.
all right. So who do you idolize in the sport?
Man, you know, as that has changed. You know what I mean? That has changed. So just to go like watch Metal Mayhem back in the day when my Uncle Brian and all those guys would run. Um, and then, you know, my attention went to Ohio and what they were doing and watching them, you know, Toby Hiley, Trey Nichols. It was like, it's when the creases starting and all that. I think that helped mold me who I am and made me want to be the better, best, you know. And not that chain, you know, used like Ziz was a big name. Watch him, see what he was doing, watch him run. You know what I mean? Um, you know, back in the day, my Uncle Brian, when he was running, it was always fun to watch and go help. But now that those guys, like, you know, I think Toby's kind of maybe dabbled and done some things, but I haven't seen it. You know, I haven't been able to see that, but they're not. I'm not saying they're not at that level or couldn't be. I just don't see it or see them, you know. So that always changes, you know. Now, I don't know, you know. It's anytime somebody wins and you think, man, I'd like to be there and win. You know, you idolize them going and winning and being in that situation. But I think when I have the time and I and my team or Ryan Gage or whoever, Don, Dave Meyer, I think when we get together, we're hard to beat. You know what I mean?
Completely. And then we got 2 more. What's it like having the Wheelman national champion being your brother-in-law?
I'm lucky.
So how did she meet Blom? Through you?
Through me, yeah. This was before Derby. This was, I think I was probably like 15 years old. Eric's 18. He might be 3 years older than me. Just kind of hanging out with him and partying. You know what I mean? And my parents got divorced kind of wasn't probably heading in the right direction in life, but he would give me a ride. I couldn't drive at the time, 15 years old, so he would give me rides, pick me up, drop me off, and then my sister'd be there. So how that started, I don't know. They've been together a long time. We don't talk. I don't talk to her or him. So how that started was kind of that, and then we've had our ups and downs. I'm just doing my thing here. He's doing his thing. I'm doing mine. It's just another. If he called today, I'd probably go help him out. And do whatever I could. But pretty much just another derby guy. You know what I mean? I've been accused of paying people to take him out, and it's just like, I'd rather go buy a steak than do that. I'd buy Gage a steak before I'd go spend any money on or give a part away. A lot of accusations, but we'll just keep it short and sweet.
I get you. And then getting into the last one, what's your most memorable moment derbying?
I would probably say that 2014 spring explosion win, Pete, Blum, Ryan, and I. That was kind of the start of it all. That was pretty cool. That was a lot of big name people there, and that was kind of that was on the upward climb for the whole thing. And me and Derby, and I was in full swing then. So that was probably that, I'd say, because that motivated me and only wanted to keep winning. That was able for me to go, test my ability, and start doing something. Ran Mayhem, but to go to Mayhem in the 2-3 hour feature, and then you go run team shows 4-on-4 and maybe an hour feature. That kind of was a whole new pace that I seemed to like more than running out of gas. I'm not saying I'm the hardest driver, but it just seemed I'll match the tempo. Do what I got to do to win.
I know exactly what you're saying. That's all the questions I got for you. This should get interesting. Go.
I'm not going to give names. Will you take a caddy back to a big show?
Can't say that I will. Can't say if I want to run a car with great suspension, I'll run like a Camry or like a, I don't know, maybe a subframe Imperial, something like that. Something that just has great lower A arms.
I don't know if an Imperial Camry's probably doing better than Imperial, but okay. Is Zach going to carry you again at Bash this year, or are you actually going to help?
I love him to death. It's not how the story went at all. We go that I know exactly what part he's talking about. He's talking about towards the end of the feature when we got it on with the priors. And if you ask Zach, this is how the story went. It goes, I picked a fight, and then Daddy Zach had to come in, save the day. But that's not at all how that happened. How it actually happened is the fight starts. We start going at it. I'm taking their wheels off. We're just battling it out. Zach's on the other end of the track the entire time. The second I get almost all of them down, what happened was that I forget which one it was, but they clipped my front driver's side wheel, and it's bent the sway bar just enough so I couldn't steer. And then what ended I'm trying so that much because it just after all the real work's done, that's when Zach comes in and tries to put the icing on the cake.
Right. Okay. Do you always ride around with your head out the window?
Well, it's part of Derby, and I just got to see who's coming, see the weather, see how it's going,
You always bring up that you won the compact feature at Bash. Did you know compacts don't count?
I do.
Did you know compacts don't count?
Yes, I know they don't count, but I mean, it's still 10 grand at the end of the day. And
Exactly.
I will argue the fact that in compacts, you don't have politics nearly as bad as in big cars.
Right. Where do you
I
see
don't know.
yourself in 10, 20, 30 years in the derby scene?
It's a very interesting question because either A, derbying is going to be NASCAR, or it's probably going to be gone because it's going to get too expensive to because the money's only our currency is only getting worth less day by day, and the price of derby cars is only going up day by day. So I think hopefully we're either at the top of it or somewhere near there, or at least still derbying. Which
Yep.
where do you see
Last one.
yourself in derbying in 10 years?
I don't know, man. There, so much can change in a year. You know what I mean? So much can change in a year. I've seen people sell out and buy in and do things and divorces and get into drugs and man, 10, 20, 30 years. Just hope I'll be alive, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think it'd be fun and cool for my daughter to do it.
I think derbying is the greatest thing anybody can ever do because you will learn more about life than anything else running derbies.
Yeah.
I've learned more life experiences and life lessons running derbies than anybody I know that's ever played any sports or anything like that.
Well, it's not only derby, it's the people that surround. I mean, if if you're surrounding yourself with good, intelligent, not to say wealthy, because I guess it's not everything, but if you surround yourself with good, intelligent, hardworking, honest, good people, you're just gonna be like them, or try to be better than them.
Exactly. Like when I was basically when I'm building derby cars, the only people I'm talking to are people that like I think are some of the best that I know, at least. Like when I'm building a Vic, I'm talking to Pete or anything. I'm talking to anybody I know that is basically a hard car builder, knows what they're talking about, so I can try to get myself in the right direction.
Did Pete ever give you the history on him and I?
He did not.
It's all about Pete, he ain't gonna tell you anything about him and I, right? All right, last question. Where do you rank yourself in the Ohio Derby scene?
Well, depends on the day. Sometimes I feel like I'm the man, feel like I can't be beat. Other days it's like, well, I really suck. I am just not good at this. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
It all comes as the days go on,
Come home from a letter from the town and you're like, man, this ain't a good day.
Well, to be honest with you, I was kind of laughing at it to begin with until I was like, oh, this actually is probably going to end up trying to start becoming a pain, which
it's
is
going
what
to
it
be,
is.
yeah, right. Well, like we talked before we got on here, and I don't know if you think you made it public so I can talk about it, right? You posted something about it?
Oh, I could care less. I'm sure I'll make videos about it on TikTok or something.
Yeah. So that's part of growing up, getting old, and bump. It's part of the speed bumps of doing it, like storing the cars, and whether you can find a loophole and get away around it or go store them somewhere or something, it's just a speed bump. You'll get over it.
Which I mean, the thing we talked about this a little bit earlier is like we talked about derbying doesn't get the same recognition as like dirt track or stuff like that. Like, because I'm probably going to go to the county tomorrow and talk to the people and be like, listen, these aren't junk cars. There's more money there in cars than all the stuff you have that isn't your house. Like
Yeah.
we have stupid money in this. Like,
yeah, you're probably going to be pissing in the wind there.
Yeah, probably. I'll be like, I have a $20,000 derby car right now. You can go look at it. Oh, that's cool. We have 20 Crown Vics. Does that mean anything? Oh, cool. Yeah. Does it run? Does it have? No. Which I don't know. It's going to be like talking to a brick wall, trying to explain to them that this is not stupid. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll give you advice from me. You go there and talk to them about it. You go there and say, okay, what do I have to do? Can we put up a fence? You try to get them to work with you. Because if you go, like, none of them probably derby. And if you're going to go there and say, I got a derby car worth more than your Jeep Wrangler, your 2013 Jeep Wrangler, and you start, like, smarting off. Not saying smart off, but just put it in those terms.
I know what you're saying.
You're not thinking it's smart. They think it's smart. You're going to put it in them terms. Then they throw the book at you. So you're better off to beg for forgiveness and have them work with you and whatever. If you got to put up a fence or, rather than all of a sudden fines come in and get weird,
Which it's
I'm
probably
old.
the best way to go into.
I'm old. I've been around the block for. So that'd be, if you take anything from me tonight, take that.
In all reality, I'm kind of surprised this is when they started to complain, because we've had a lot of derby cars there. The problem is like I usually maintain everything well and keep it well stored and make it look decent. But like,
well, it's kind of
like
at
the point
a
now where
derby.
it's like, it's winter.
It's at a derby, and it's like being at a derby and somebody complained about your car. One of the neighbors, someone driving by, someone that don't like you, whatever, your podcast or whatever the hell you call this is getting more, whatever. It's probably some neighbor that somebody filed a complaint. I'm gonna bet it's not the county guy riding around. It's somebody probably filed a complaint, and then that letter came because someone's just doing their job. There is an ordinance or whatever they're trying to push.
At the end of the day, it is what it is.
Pretty much.
Fun.
How much yard art? Go stack them and go all weird. Tell them you're an artist and it's yard art and stack them all weird ways.
Dude, now that could just work. I mean,
I'm telling you, I've been around gray areas and loopholes. I might help you.
I wonder how many Crown Vic bodies you can stack on them before they start to fall over.
You're right.
The problem is, it's like, because I usually keep it all like somewhat organized or somewhat like in rows, But then we got so much extra stuff right now between basically bodies and just stuff that needs to be put away. That's just not. So it's like I was doing a body for my buddy the other day. I did the trunk and stuff on it, and I was waiting for it to come back, and the only real part left, and so it's out of the way, is sitting it on top of another body. So I set it on top of another body, and I'm guessing that's where all the complaints came from, which makes sense, but
right.
I don't know. It's fun. It's even so. Every time my mom goes out in public, it's like she told this story not too long ago. She's like, when I go to the bank, and the lady's trying to get to know, like, where are you from? Where are you guys at? It's like, oh, we live in Grafton, and just giving a very vague details. It's like she's finally like, we're the blue house on the corner. Oh, you're the house that has all the junk cars. Yes, that's us.
Oh, your son's got the problem. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, you got the sailboat. Yeah, you got all that. Yeah, we do. It is what it is.
So
I
do
love
you
my
guys use
sailboat.
the sailboat, or is it just yard art?
Well, so I bought it at an auction. So the story behind the sailboat is my neighbor, which he died not too long ago, and he had like 5 sailboats at his property. Okay, never sailed one of them, never floated one of them. But he said, and I got in trouble at school for saying this because they thought I was lying, so they called home, and my mom was like, "No, he's not lying. The dude's just crazy." He was going to sail around the world. Why you need 5 sailboats to do that, I don't know. However, when he died, I was like, I feel like I got to buy a sailboat just for the guy, just to keep his memory alive. So they had an auction for the property. And I was like, if it doesn't go for more than $100, we're going to buy it. Let's bid on it. So I'm in a bidding war with some dude for this sailboat to like $70. Till he's like, yeah, this is stupid. What am I doing? So I get the sailboat. My dad was not happy. So what do? I put it behind the shops. You can't see it, out of sight, out of mind. He thinks that's the reason the township's mad. I don't think so, because they can't see the sailboat. And a sailboat's not a motorized vehicle. So I don't think that has anything to do with it.
I heard you cut the bottom of the sailboat off and stuffed your frame with the lead.
Well, I mean, the accusations, it's the world's full of them,
Did you know that's full of lead on the bottom of a sailboat?
I did, to be honest with you, the what I do want to do with it, the whole reason I'm keeping it, is because I have this idea this is stupid, I'm not going to lie to you, but I want it, when I buy my first house, I want to put it in the front yard at like an angle, like you're going over a big wave, and I want to write Iceman's house down the side of it, just so everybody knows that's my house. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, you do you.
Yeah.
Well, I hope this was a little more interesting than the Gage Sumner interview, because I fell asleep during that.
I think a lot of people did,
That was
Gage's
bad.
interview.
That's like watching molasses flow out of a tree. That was bad. Grass grow.
Oh, that's great. So, looking forward, what you plan on running any shows next year? What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I got to do something. I want to run. I'll probably run a couple big ones, but we did this machine shop area and a couple bathrooms here, and did some work over at the salvage yard and this and that. So it still was like 50, 40 degrees here, and we're still doing some excavating work, prepping, cleaning up concrete job sites and prepping for next spring. So it's pretty odd to be able to work this late, but I don't ever really try to miss making a buck. So we're still working. I think next week that'll slow down, and then I'll try to figure out where.
Awesome.
You going to King of Ohio?
I'll probably end up there in something. You running King of Ohio?
I've had a couple people, tell me I should or go run with them in that. I just kind of started looking at the rules, and I don't know, I don't know.
My hope for King of Ohio is that basically a lot more people from the out of town comes, because right now it's at the rate it was going, it was almost going to be turning into the Bash Turn Back the Clock, when it was just a certain group of Ohio guys that just ran the whole thing.
Remember, I told him, call it the King. Don't call it the King of Ohio. If you want Don Santel and Mark Lee and Iceman and Gage Sumner, Ryan Songalewski, like, just don't try to. What would be the benefit of calling it King of Ohio rather than the King? In my mind, the King of Derby, not trying to like crown your state and say, that doesn't totally get rid of politicking. You have politicking in the heat. It's going to be 2-on-1.
Oh, for
I don't
sure.
care who it is. It's going to be 2-on-1. I mean, if somebody has a good hit on someone else, maybe they'll take it. But I'm not saying there won't be any hits, but I think the main focus, majority of the time, is going to be 2-on-1. Let's get him out, and then you and I will go 1-on-1. Not saying you're sitting there the day before and there's a list out. A lot of these deals are made by a nod. Deals are made. You don't even need to see the person, and you can have heat draws, and I can sit there and go, well, I know who's working together. If a couple guys are coming there from Kansas, or a handful of guys and here and here and here, you're going to go, well, they're from Ohio or they're from here. They've had bad blood before. They're going to battle it out, and then who's going to jump on whose side. So it's very, very hard to get away with it. Is he paying $50? If he gets X amount of cars.
Yes, that is how that works. Like this past year, it didn't fill, so he only paid like 26 something.
Okay. So what is the cap to get 50 this year?
To be honest with you, I do not remember at all.
But I mean, I hope it fills for Derby. I hope it fills, and people, if I go or not, I hope it fills, and people somebody gets 50. Awesome. You know what I mean?
Like my favorite part about running King, the whole reason I spent the stupid amount of money I did to run King was because like the way it's set up, I feel like if I run that show, I could truly test myself to see how good I am compared to if I went out to there to run like back when the Bash had turned back the clock, because on the surface it doesn't look like the politics are there at all until you get there, which it doesn't politics, but I mean, let's be honest. If you're not running one-on-one, you're not getting rid of politics.
No, and you got a better shot if you're taking 1-on-2 rather than 1-on-4,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's all about perspective. Like I probably will end up running this year. That is the goal, at least. But I got to build a Bash car and then a King car, which we built the Bash car. It's just a regular Ford. Won't be anything crazy, So that should go together fairly quickly.
I think Gage should run King.
I think Gage should run King. Put Gay down the side. Gay of Ohio.
Exactly. I mean, he won Bash, so he kind of is already the king of Ohio. You might as well get the crown back on his head,
What is the deal with his mustache? I forgot to ask him that.
I think he's just, trying to make up for lack of in other areas.
Oh, hell.
Right?
You guys are crazy. So, circle it back real quick before we get off here. What's the story behind you and Pete? How did you and Pete meet?
Metal Mayhem, 2012 or 13. I don't know. Like I ran. I think it must have been 13. Pete came in 13. I ran old iron in 13. I was a Ford guy mainly. I ran old iron, and I needed to do something and borrow a welder or something he had and I didn't have. Whether I either didn't have one or it wasn't there yet, however it worked out, Pete had what I needed. Went over there, and my Uncle Brian, got to know all these guys from all over the country, and he's like, yeah, head over by Pete. And went over by him, shook hands, and it clicked. Seen him there and ran. I don't know if I got sixth that year or what, but I don't know where he placed. That was 13. Then he ran with us in 14. I think he came to my house in 14 and just, bouncing ideas back and forth. I'm sure compared to where he was and what he was doing and to where we went, it kind of opened him up, opened his eyes to a whole new. And, you learn every derby. I don't care if you're walking through the pits, if you're building. I learn every concrete job I pour. I learn every derby I run. You're learning something. You know what I mean? So, and he went and took it. He gave us ideas, whether it was me and Ryan and our team, he gave us ideas. We gave him. You just get in that different era and start bouncing things back and forth, keep communication, and then you start to excel, on the build. And then you got to go have the equipment and drive, obviously. But that was the start of Pete. I gave him the nickname Peter Pan.
So now Pete always bald back
Peter
then?
Pan. Was he always bald?
Yeah, or did he ever have hair?
Since I known him, he's been pretty thin on the top side.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
I think the time's almost up here. Do you got anything you want to say? Any announcements you want to make for skiing before we get off here?
Not really. I probably said enough. People are probably ready to throw up. Especially Gage.
Yeah.
No, I pretty much said anything. We're getting back on track, trying to do more in house and we'll just be a copycatter like everyone else and have to haul 2, 3, 4 trailers to Van because we're gonna have a hood washer with a middle finger on it. You know what I mean? That's what people want, so we'll give it to them.
You know, I'd much rather run a circular hood washer anyways.
I know, I'm kidding, but that was just seems like where it's gone, you know, it's kind of weird. But it was a joke to myself and to Gage.
I get
and
you.
to my Uncle Brian.
Awesome.
I think somebody walked through Blizzard Bash vending and they said, how many people do we need selling hood washers with a middle finger on it?
At least 10.
You need options, you know. We're going to get into a bidding war here and try to get them as cheap as we can.
I mean, like, sometimes you want blue, sometimes you want red.
Right? 3/16, quarter, 3/8, you know, in thickness, color, hole diameter, half, 3/4, 1.
Ay. I make my own washers. I'm too cheap to buy. I'm not going to spend $100 on like that on brand new washers. We got old washers. They work just as well.
Yeah, get the old weights from the gym. Get the old 5-10 pound plates, right?
That's actually a pretty good idea. Now that you mention it, I'm going to write that down in the notes.
Right. You're young. You haven't seen that.
Awesome.
So who are you having on next? You got to get Ryan on here. Pick his brain.
I tried. He said, I'm a nobody. Nobody wants to hear me talk. I said, yeah, you're one of the best builders in the country. I don't know about that.
So get a hold of Megan. No, this is what you do. Go message Megan and then say we want to interview Ryan and his daughter, and then talk to his daughter about Power Wheels, get her on for a little bit, and then go pick Ryan's brain for an hour. He can't say no then.
How old is his daughter? Has she ran Power Wheels yet, or like where's she at in that?
Yeah, she's ran Power Wheels. I don't know if she's somewhere maybe between 8 and 10, maybe, I think. I don't know.
She's ready for youth class already.
Yeah, right.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Jason. I got to get the schedule together for next week. You know what we should do, hypothetically? We should have you, Gage, and Ryan all on at the same time.
It'll be like that one of them talk shows in the morning with all the women. The View. It'll be The View. The View 2.
Oh.
You ain't going to be able to get a word in when Gage is rambling on the whole time.
Talking about bumpers and wooden bumpers and getting loaded and loaded back.
Repeating himself, and I'll fall asleep.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you for coming on, Jason. Thank you all you guys for watching. I should have next schedule done by the end of the weekend at least. Thank you guys for watching. We shall see you next week.
See you, man.
Yep. Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Mr. Produce.